Imagine a world where people take a pause before reacting with any intense emotion. Imagine a world where being stressed out is less common than feeling peaceful or grounded. Imagine a world where there's always a quiet place to go. Before the age of information and industry, our world was dominated by people who relied on nature to sustain them. They lived off the land, hunting and gathering whatever they needed, with few distractions to keep them from their purpose of survival. Their stressors were simple things that impacted their basic needs, like food availability and storage, weather patterns for migration, and predatory animals. They were able to focus on one task at a time. Fast forward to today's youth, who have a drastically different experience than our ancestors. Their brains operate identically to that of previous generations, but they have more complex stressors than ever before. They are millennials, a generation that has only known the world where most answers are available at the speed of a search button. They are almost always multitasking, with the world playing as a sidekick to their smartphones. And their community is a global one, where traumatic events like school shootings, terrorism, a lack of social justice, and a fear-based media are the norm. Predators are still a reality in today's age, but are different from generations past. Some are seen in the streets, and others are lurking behind screens, watching and waiting for the perfect victim. Fortunately, our brains are wired to survive the shift in lifestyle that has occurred over time. But it needs extra maintenance, since we expect it to handle higher amounts of stress than our ancestors. Understanding how the brain works is the first step toward taking better care of it. You don't have to be a neurologist to understand your brain, but there are some key parts to controlling your reaction to stress and emotions. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for making logical decisions and problem solving. It also helps you read, write, focus your attention, resist urges, and work out conflicting thoughts. The amygdala, a pair of almond-shaped organs deep inside the brain, determine our fight, flight, or freeze response to life's many challenges. If your brain picks up a signal of a perceived threat or feels under stress from any particular situation, it quickly kicks into this survival mode. Even a small amount of stress triggers a reaction in the brain and releases hormones in the brain, such as cortisol and adrenaline. So, how do these parts work together? Well, let's say you wake up late one morning and quickly realize it was not the day to be late. You have an early meeting with your boss, and you still have to get kids up and ready. Your amygdala has determined that this situation is a threat, so it gives you the hormone boost you need to quickly grab your things and get ready. You throw a breakfast together in minutes, and luckily your kids are getting in the car. You turn around and grab your coffee and swing the door right into yourself, spilling the coffee all over your shirt. This is when you lose it. You might even yell at yourself or cry out of frustration. You call out, "Why can't I think straight right now?" Well, the simple reason is that the prefrontal cortex becomes unavailable for rational thought when the amygdala is activated by these intense emotions. So once that overwhelmed feeling, I call it the whoosh, because you feel it go over you like a wave crashing down. When that feeling comes, that's your body's response to the hormones that were just released in your brain. At this point, you might as well be running from a bear. It's the exact same response. Over time, an amygdala that's activated frequently with toxic stress and long-term trauma becomes enlarged. And this enlargement can make a person highly reactive to stressors big and small. You might feel this way. If not, I bet you've met some people in your life like that. Ones that you think, can you just calm down and breathe? In fact, science agrees with this advice. A few years ago at this very university, I was given the option to choose an area to study in character education for a graduate class that I was taking. I stumbled across a topic called mindfulness, but never thought it was for me. Simply put, mindfulness is the act of being aware of the present moment without judgment. I started reading more books and studies about the brain science of being calm, but never thought about the impact that it could make on my students. I accepted a position in my current district in October as a fourth grade teacher after a few years of working in education. I was so happy to teach in my school, but it was a year of challenges. I struggled in forming relationships with my students, which make keeping them motivated to learn and stay on task a minute-by-minute endeavor. Many of my students lived in poverty or had other types of family situations that made trust hard to gain. They didn't have self-regulation skills, which made the classroom feel chaotic. And I also had many struggles outside the classroom. My mom passed away suddenly that school year, and my son's appendix burst. I felt that whoosh feeling on a daily basis. I found myself unable to cope, burned out, and ready to give up teaching altogether. Something had to change. As I was getting to the end of the school year, I went to a workshop on trauma, and it was a reminder of the tools that I'd already learned about, but wasn't using. It was then that I decided to dedicate myself to practicing mindfulness daily and bring it to my students in the classroom. In the 2016-17 school year, my students practiced mindful breathing 3 times daily and learned more about how their brains work. I saw incredible changes in them and myself. At the beginning of the school year, it was hard enough to get through one sentence, much less an entire lesson. But as my students grew in their mindful selves, I was able to teach with fewer disruptions. Students who had had barriers to their growth suddenly were able to learn. For example, I had a student who hadn't made any reading progress for years, and they were finally able to find a way to focus and learn to love reading. My students forged friendships more successfully, and our classroom felt like a family. Discipline problems declined, and parents loved what they were seeing with their students at home as well. And by the end of the school year, my students were able to talk about frustrating situations rather than just react with their emotions. Wouldn't we all like to be more like these kids? This school year, I was thrilled to have a few of those students serve as leaders and teachers to other classrooms starting mindfulness in my building. If you ask any of them, most of them will say that mindfulness makes you feel like you have a pause button for your brain. It gives you more control when you feel sad, angry, or frustrated. Could you imagine what our world could be like if we had more people transforming their brain with mindfulness? The general population sees mindfulness in a limited way, considering it a practice for hippies or Buddhists. Even the kids I taught thought I was crazy the first few weeks that we started practicing in class. But in reality, mindfulness is a universal way to keep your mind healthy, just as you would keep your body healthy with food choices or exercise. It's not hippie or religious. It's the science of biology. Wouldn't you like to try mindfulness? Well, by simply practicing regulatory breathing techniques each and every day, you can take control of your brain's pause button too. By doing so, you'll reduce the size of your amygdala and increase the gray matter in your brain. Breathing slowly and evenly allows your brain to calm and focus. And what's really amazing is that over time, just noticing your emotions helps you manage the peaks and valleys of stressful situations. So when you have one of those mornings that everything is going wrong, you will feel that whoosh coming on, but you'll be able to breathe through it without losing your temper. Does that mean you won't have any strong emotions? No. But some of the smaller things that used to build up to one giant explosion will be things that were much more manageable. Since mindfulness has transformed my life and the lives of many of the students I have taught, my greatest desire right now is to share it with everyone that I can. So today, I will teach you a breathing practice that you can use to get started. So to begin, just make sure that you're nice and comfortable in your seated position. Sit nice and tall, and let your hands rest loosely in your lap. Now, close your eyes and relax. And with your eyes closed, take a slow, deep breath in and out. Don't try to control your thoughts. Just focus on your breath, going slowly in and out. For the next few minutes, give yourself permission to be relaxed in the here and now. You don't have anything to do at this moment, so put aside any thoughts of things you have to do or worries that might be waiting for you later. Keep focusing on the feeling of air going in and out of your body. If your mind wanders off for a moment, simply bring your awareness back to the sound of my voice and to the breath that is the source of life for your body. Now, take a long, slow, deep breath in, and then release that breath. Feel yourself relaxing. Notice how calming it is to breathe this way. Continue to breathe slowly, deeply, and gently. And with each breath you take, your body relaxes. If you notice your mind wandering again, focus on the act of inhaling and exhaling slowly. Allow your mind to slow down and just breathe. You are now in a mindful state of relaxation. Continue breathing slowly and evenly while you listen to my words. Anytime you feel stressed out or overwhelmed, you can bring yourself back to this place, the quiet place inside your mind, to have a moment of tranquility. Stay with these feelings and enjoy this moment. Now slowly bring your awareness back to where we are now, here in this theater. And when you're ready, simply open your eyes. Notice your heart rate is slow and even, just as your breath was during this exercise. Reflect on how your body feels at this moment. Do you feel relaxed? Did you notice many thoughts going through your mind? This is completely normal. Mindfulness practice isn't easy. That's why we call it a practice and not a perfect. Learning how to do anything can be a challenge at first, but the more you try it, the better you get. If you practice mindfulness at least twice a day for a few months, you will start to feel the shift within yourself. One that allows emotions to come, but not be in control of everything you say and do. Then, I ask only one thing of you. Please share your mindfulness practice with others. We all need this to change ourselves and our world. I believe if everyone had mindfulness, the world could be all that we imagine. Thank you.